Hello everyone! So in today's reading we're going to do a message from, or not really from, but for your shadow. So it's going to be kind of like touching on certain aspects of who you are that maybe we ignore or don't want to look at, but sometimes they have important information, or there's information in there to help us with our light, because our light helps our shadow and our shadow can help our light. So I'm going to pick some piles. Okay, these two. I'm going to go here first. I'm going this one. Alright, so let's take a look at the cards that came out today. So for pile 1, you have Tiferet, which is heart and beauty. This is part of the Tree of Life. For pile number 2, you have Gabriel, which has the Angel of Heralds. Okay. For pile number 3, you have Chesed, which is the right hand, empathy. And for pile number 4, you have Keter, which is the crown, spirituality. Okay, so these will be the 4 piles today. What I'll do is I've got some brooches and we're going to put them down for each pile. So I will get those now and I'll come back to you once they're down. Okay, so here are the brooches that I have. So if you want to pick via brooches, there is the swan with the red stone here and the pearl for pile 1. For pile number 2, we have a butterfly brooch with little coloured glass. For pile number 3, we have a little flower brooch, little blue one. And for pile number 4, you have a swan with a blue body stone and a pearl as well. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll give you some time to pick your pile, take your time. You can pause the video if you need to, but I'll give you a bit of time after this blurb. But down below you'll see your timestamp, so you can jump straight to your video. Otherwise, next will be the shuffling process. So take care and I'll see you in your reading. Hello everyone, welcome to the shuffling process. So very interesting today. We've got a lot of the Tree of Life here. We've got the center, we being the heart. We've also got the center of like the top, the crown, Keter. And then we've got Chesed, which is the right hand with empathy. So really nice, really interesting. It's going to be an interesting reading. I've also got Archangel Ezekiel coming through today for this reading to assist, which is super interesting, not what I would have expected. So very, very interesting. So let's pick some cards. Shuffling these now. So this one is for a message for each pile's shadow, please. I think these two are pretty strong. Getting this one and this one. Yeah, I wanted to do a shadow, I guess a shadow reading, because I believe that sometimes, especially in spirituality, we focus on the light, which is great, right? The light is a big part of our life. Like if we're focusing on the light, we're doing right by it, then we can get quite far and assist as many people as we can. However, if we ignore our shadows, then we're only getting kind of one side of the story. And I'm not saying you have to deep dive into your shadows and do shadow work. This is more of just understanding who you are and how you move through the world. If one part is being ignored, then there's a risk of missing out on further knowledge and gaining more wisdom throughout everything that we do and who we deal with and in our life, because we'll always go through highs and lows in life. So it's always important. That's just my personal take. Obviously, everyone's going to be different, and I feel like you have to go with what resonates with you. That's important, most of all. Okay. Got some interesting cards too popping out. This one here is the Goddess Among Us, or Goddess Among You, something like that. And that one wanted to come out first, so I was very interested. The rest will be interesting as well, of course, but we'll see what comes through in the reading. Alright, so a message for the collective in regards to their shadows. This one is a great deck too. I actually think the lady who created this deck used to, if she still does, lives in the same city. She's in Australia, and I live in Queensland, so I'm pretty sure she might live in the state of Queensland as well. But maybe she's moved, not sure. But a lot of these cards today, like there's a mix of where people are from, like where the creators are from, but there's a few Australians in here too. So this is another one. This one can come across a little brash, but I feel like we're talking about our shadow, so we need to get real. Alright, so message from everyone's shadow. This one is really calling, and this one. Okay. And so we end it just with a couple of tarot. I don't mind using tarot or not using tarot. Honestly, everyone has to have their own personal process with the cards. So, you gotta go with what feels right. I go with sometimes tarot, sometimes I'll go with mostly Oracle. It just depends on the day who I'm reading for. I'll also do a little plug. I do have Etsy, so if you want to check that out, that is in the description. But otherwise, you can get readings here. I'm also on Twitch. You can get free readings there as well. I just generally go a little bit deeper, and it's personalized and private. Even though it's written out, it's customized to you. I don't have copy and paste things of general things I say, because it just doesn't work like that. I can pull the same card for 5 different people, and those cards that one card, let's say it's the world card, can have different meanings for each situation, person, just depending on how the message comes through to me. Alright, so let's pull some cards for the shadow. Okay. Okay. This one. Okay. I'm just gonna go here and here. moving around a little bit because I have aircon on, so it's very hot here. Thought it was going to come to an end, like the heat in Australia, but no. Alright, then this one here. So I do have aircon on, so if the cards are moving around, it's not anything wild, it's just the air blowing around the room. Today I'm actually burning an incense stick, which is ones that they use in Thailand. They're kind of religious ones. So it doesn't have a necessarily strong scent, but it is quite nice and subtle. Okay, so message from each pile's, or for each pile's shadow. This one's a really nice deck. Sometimes these ones almost read like oracle cards. Like they will have the meanings, of course, associated with the traditional tarot. However, there's something different about these. They have a interesting vibe. Okay. So here are your piles for today. Get the main card on top. These healing cards are huge. I don't mind that. I have decently sized hands, I guess you could say. But I know people struggle with larger cards. So there is that, but they're really good. She has a couple of decks actually. I'll put the description. I think it's called the Healing Oracle, something simple like that. Actually, just since you're watching, I'll just show you. I don't know why, I feel like someone might want to get this one. Yeah, Mystical Healing Reading Cards, not Oracle. Ina Segal. Really, really nice cards. Okay, so here are your main cards, and I'll just bring these down again. So here are your brooches. I thought I'd use the brooches today instead of a gem, just because I had 4 brooches, so why not? But yeah, here are your piles, and you can jump straight to your video, but thank you for being here, take care of yourself, and I'll see you in your reading. Hello, pile number 1. So really interesting, just before I start your reading, while I was doing the Pickacard, there was a song playing and it was called something about moonlight, and the moon. And then just when I was starting the reading and actually finishing off the shuffling because it was still playing, was called Moonlight. So a lot of like, you know, unknown mystical moon kind of energy coming through. So today you have picked the Tiferet or Tiferet, the heart or the beauty. So this is in regards to the heart of the Kabbalah. So it's the Kabbalah, the tree of life. It's you know, down in the middle. So we'll see how this plays into your reading today. And I am just going to put this off screen a little bit. I don't want to put it on the cards because I damaged a card by doing that. So just being careful. But you also picked the little swan. Okay, so I'm going to keep these separate just for now. So let's see what you got. You have Narcissistic Nymph, Take Back Your Own Power. Really interesting, this coming out. When we're talking about one, you've picked the heart. You know, really talking about the heart chakra and this hole here as well. Kind of coming through. There's light, but there's like, you know, maybe unexplored aspects of your heart. Because we are talking about the shadow as well. And here we've got Take Back Your Own Power. So we'll see how this plays in. You also have Show Self-Respect. Really strong. Ooh, I'm getting like if you are in a relationship or anything like that, or just your friendships, making sure that you are respecting yourself by being respected. Does that make sense? Like, not letting, like, it's interesting. Sometimes people will let their family get away with things, but then they'll get online and be like a social warrior. But then their family will say worse things and actually be trying to say certain things, and they will kind of let it slide. So are you showing your self-respect? Are you being true to who you are in all aspects of who you are? Okay, before I get too far in, you've also got White Tara with compassion, healing, peace, and longevity. Really nice. Okay. You also have the Gray's Tool. Utilitarian, organized, and intimidating. Yeah, hopefully this is not someone in your life that you have to put up with all the time, or hopefully not for long. You also have truth. What was I saying about speaking of truth? Seeing the truth with this mirror. The true story from your heart as well. Soul Invictus, I can't remember. I know Soul Sun. I have no idea what Invictus is. I'll have a quick check later. But that seems important too, these words written here in this like symbol of a like pyramid or triangle with an eye inside. Lots of like little symbology coming through. And this here with these, someone's getting like a brain scanned or something. I'm not too sure. It's just like they're getting tests being done on them. And so it's like this is an unemotional kind of uncaring of what happens. It's just getting the results, right? I don't know if this is someone in your life, or maybe sometimes you fall into this with certain people because we're talking about your shadow, right? So it can get pretty deep. Okay, you have the Three of Cups. Okay. I don't have these in New Zealand, but I do think they're kind of cute. But I know that they rummage through trash and stuff. I've seen all the little short reels or clips or TikToks. You also have the Lovers card. So this is really interesting. I feel like for some, it's in regards to one, stopping you from doing what you really love, or just not really stopping, but being that blocker or some kind of like installing a bit of like uncertainty. But it also can be in regards, especially with this tall grey, because it's just popping up a bit. Is it in regards to connection? Is it in regards to friends and family? Or who should be like this, you know, fun energy? Is it like competition almost? You have the Queen of Swords. Really nice. Really great when she's upright. In her shadow position, can be quite dark, but it's always talking about like cutting away what doesn't serve you as well. That doesn't always mean that. It's just, when I say always, it just really feels like that right now. Okay, and you also have two queens. You have the Queen of Wands, which is interesting because we've got another mirror. She's taking a selfie, right? Here, and then she's reflecting. But it almost looks like this character here is going to push her into the mirror to like get rid of her, maybe. Or she's just being ignored. It's an interesting little kind of imagery. Yeah, Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands is regaining power, and that's exactly what where is it? The narcissistic nymph is talking about. There's a bit of healing needed, and the self-respect is definitely taking back the power against the organization. This doesn't have to actually be a person, I will say. For some of you, it might be like a workplace, or just sometimes when you just stop for a while and step back, step out of the matrix, let's say, and just be mindful of where you are and like your surroundings. Certain things will pop up, right? Where can we put this? I want it to be in the picture. No, I don't want it upside down. That's okay. So what do I see for you exactly, pile number 1? Look, there's a lot of, with the heart coming up here and this heart shaped with the scorpions. So interesting as well. One, they're showing off their bioluminescence, but also, you know, the scorpions, we don't always think of that as like caring, loving, anything like that. They have a spiritual meaning, of course, but when we just think of the actual, what are they? Arthropods? Insects? I don't know. But, you know, when we actually think of them, we have like rational fear sometimes because they can be poisonous and can injure us, right? The smaller the snippies, sometimes the more potent their pincers. Sometimes their poison tails are like stronger, right? But there's healing here. There's definitely some kind of healing going on that is what like it's required or needing to look at, not to dive deep and start digging into your shadows if you're not called to it. But I believe there was something that popped up in my head, and I think it just flicked out. But it was like this the shadow area is there to remind you. It shouldn't be there to control you. It's there for a purpose. It's there to remind you of what you've gone through to get to where you are now. So you already know your truth. You know what is the truth. And sometimes when the shadow pops up, it's to remind you that, hey, you've already gone through much harder stuff than this person, this situation, whatever is coming up right now, right? You know the truth of who you are and how you've been. Just because someone thinks that you've had it easy, let's say, doesn't necessarily mean that you have. But you don't have to prove anything to anyone. You already know what's in your heart, what's the truth. So, I feel like with the self-respect, don't lower yourself. It's not really lower because it's not like a hierarchy, but don't pull yourself, get sucked into someone else's drama just because they have something going on, or they have a particular situation where they feel their life's the hardest, let's say. That doesn't mean you have to kind of correct them or anything like that, or don't let them, or you can correct them, right? You can respect yourself and speak your truth and what you feel like is the truth in the situation with love, right? With love from the heart space, not to correct them or to show them that they're wrong. It's more to help them see different perspectives or anything like that. This is just something that's popping up, and I just kind of ran with it, so hopefully that helps. But regardless, even though this is like something I would probably say at the end, you've got the Lover's card, which is like here, this Asclepius rod and this lunar moth, which is really beautiful, and it's talking about transformation. It's also really knowing who you are. The Queen of Wands knows who she is, that strength, that radiant energy, passionate energy for who she is. Now this is talking about cutting, like not really cutting, but detaching, let's say, cutting away people, situations that no longer serve you. That doesn't mean you have to completely detach and be away, but you can limit your space around certain people. You can limit your interactions with people that just don't serve you, or you can't assist them in a way that would be good for their progress, right? So worrying about that isn't going to help. Be around the people that are, like-minded, which is funny pointing at raccoons, but you know what I mean, like that you can kind of ground and also, fly away with, like have fun, and also like be real with, speak your truth with, because this wind kind of face here is blowing away the shadows. It's not getting rid of the shadows are there for a purpose, but it's just blowing away what doesn't need to be there so that we can see the truth of the matter, so that we can see the real person. And that could be you, that could be for other people. Sometimes you have to push away the BS, let's say, to see the heart of the matter. Because you never really know what people are going through in life. And I feel like your reading is really around a lot of different kinds of people. We've got 2 queens here, 3 cups, and also these tall greys. I feel like for sometimes it's you, sometimes it's them. It's certain things. Hopefully no one's intimidating, but definitely would mean, look after yourself and don't let other people treat you how you wouldn't, like if you say to yourself, I would never treat someone like this, then don't let people treat you like that, you know what I mean? And peace, compassion. If you can always stay in this kind of like, if you can bring this energy into your heart space and start worrying about this kind of, so I feel like for some people this is you sometimes, and that's fine. Like everyone gets into a space where they're reflecting so much that they're not, even here, it can come across narcissistic, but self-love isn't narcissistic. Self-respect isn't narcissism. But if you're looking too much, sometimes you can reflect so much that you're thinking about the past and get stuck in it, right? But you need to be present as well, which I feel here, she's present. She's looking in the mirror. She's like feeling her, oats, I guess, or fantasy. And here it looks like she's stuck in a way. Because it's like, here's your power, and she's not looking at it, she's not taking her power, she's got it with her, right? But she's not embracing it. Okay. I do feel like understanding your heart space and what really is calling to your heart center is important in this reading. Like, we're talking about shadows, but it's almost like the shadows can be reminders. They'll pop up. Like, I feel like I've heard somewhere where people are talking about, like, they look at their shadow, they know it's there, but that's there to remind them of who they are, how they've got to where they are, what kind of people they allow to, work with them or be in their lives. They show themselves self-respect. So, it's kind of like a good reminder. Your light doesn't always show those. It reminds you to, what of love and compassion, right? But sometimes our shadow reminds us of the harsher stuff that we've been through to get to where we are. And so it's like empowering as well. That's why we need both, because we have light and darkness within us. Because we've been through highs and like happiness and sorrow as well. So we all move through different stages of that throughout our lives. But don't be afraid to get real with certain people, because the longevity is your heart, your soul is forever. And this is part of growth, the embracing, or not really embracing, but acknowledging, let's say, the shadow aspect. There's a lot of talk about destroying the ego or destroying the shadow self, but that's part of you. So you're kind of beating yourself up if you ignore it or if you kind of fight it. It's about understanding it and understanding why it's there, and then working when it pops up, understanding how it helps you in some sense. I hope that makes sense. But it's all about truth, because it's the real deal. It's about really uncovering and making sure the light shines through whenever we get into a shadowy situation or position. Whether it's you generally going to be other people bringing that in, if it's not yourself, but it can be us too. We can get into a position where we're kind of almost not respecting ourselves, right? We're our harshest critic, I want to say. We get too segmented and structured in how things should be. But it's kind of like at the end here, it's like, cut away what doesn't serve you. Enjoy the good around you, the people around you, the other little raccoons, because they're dexterous, they're nimble, they can get through certain situations, they can adapt, they're adaptable. And focus on the people that really help fill your heart space and who you can help heal, and then in turn help heal yourself. That is the best way to go through like healing process, or going through changes, or dealing with different people. Because I feel here for some of you, you've either gone through a shadowy period and you've come out better for it, or you might be through this now, coming to realization now and dealing with all this. But as long as you do like the focus on the truth of your heart, from your heart space, like the real truth, I'm not saying following your heart, not like emotions and feelings. It's really what's from the heart, the real truth. I know I keep saying real, but it's like I'm trying to triple down on it not being just flowing away with the emotions of a situation. It's really about the truth and the heart matter, like the real deep stuff. And that's where there's light and shadow there. And again, I know I've said it, but if there is someone that's in your life, like ask yourself, is there someone in your life that's really, you always have the ability to take back your own power because it's your power, right? But is there someone that is constantly draining, or is it you focusing on things that you don't have control over? Or is it people like this that where you feel paralyzed to be able to do anything? Those are really tough situations. I can't give you the special secret pill to solve everything, but just acknowledging it and being aware of it will help you understand what is self-respect. What are you doing to really, are they treating you with respect, and are you showing yourself self-respect from, this energy? Are they showing you compassion? Do you show yourself compassion? There's lots of discussions I feel that need to be done, and whatever doesn't work for you, you can work on minimizing, reducing, that the recycling, whatever, that kind of getting rid of what doesn't serve you, so you can feel in your heart space, be around people you love, and actually be that, independent, strong, passionate person, and get that energy back into your life where you deserve to. And even my little light is shining really hard on this, so it's like, it really is. The shadow is there to remind you of the shadows of what you've been through, but also to highlight how bright it is, right? How light your path is moving forward. Because if there was no shadow, everything would be light. But the shadow being there gives you a direction of where's the light, and that's my true north, let's say. That's what's true to my heart space. And that's exactly what I see for you, pile number one. So thank you very much for being here. If you've enjoyed, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss any content. I also do Etsy readings, so feel free to have a look at that. Otherwise, take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next reading. Hello, pile number two. So today you have chosen Gabriel with the Archangel of Heralds. Interesting, because the Heralds just reminds me of a messenger, right? Something to say. So do you have something to say? We'll see. I'm going to put the butterfly over here. This is also if you've picked by brooches, as you do. Okay, let's take a look at your cards today. So you have, you really are a special type of fucktard, which is showing shine your uniqueness. It's really I know it's a bit of an interesting one, but it's really just shining who you are, showing who you truly are, right? Regardless of what society, the world, whatever. It's showing your true self, your inner self. I love it. Okay, so you also have focus on higher truths. You also have Anna, grandmother of Jesus, with nurture, wisdom, and ancestral healing. Okay. This is so interesting. It's just right next to this card. Show your uniqueness, ancestral healing. It's regardless of even what family say and think and feel, be who you are, be true to who you are. You've also got the Merkaba card with movement, long distance travel, and excitement. Really interesting. And you also have adventures. This is a message for your shadow, so this is an interesting one. Okay, so we'll check your tarot cards now. You'll have the Four of Swords. This is so interesting. I'll get to it. I want to kind of start reading now, but I'll hold up. You have the Magician. Yeah, you've got it. You've got some really good skills. I feel like the shadow is almost like your power in some way. Not saying you do dark stuff. It's more like, you have to be reminded sometimes of how far you've come to get to this, to get to your superpower, let's say. What you manifest, what you create. You have a message, for sure. Maybe you're the message. You're the herald, right? You're the message bringer. It's interesting too, because now it's just making me think of Archangel Gabriel is like the wears many hats, let's say, and is kind of like the coach. I want to say like a coach, a life coach of the archangels in a way. Helps you with empowering you to do what you can do, and that really makes sense with the shine your uniqueness. Be true to who you are, because you have something special within. You have the Ace of Swords, really interesting one too. This knife just going straight into the apple. It's like those knife throwers where they with pinpoint accuracy. But it's also the Ace of Swords, so about new ideas, changing ideas as well, refining your thoughts and feelings. And maybe that's why you need some time and space, because the Four of Swords is about rest, but it's also about healing, because it's straight after the Three of Swords, which is heartbreak and challenges, like honest, true feelings of hurt, let's say. And bam, you have the Knight of Pentacles, which is such a cool one. And really, even though it's a raccoon, which is interesting, if you were called to pile 1, you might want to check that one out as well. But it's like the power and enjoying the fruits of your labor, what you've got, what you've created for yourself, what you've done. Be proud of that. It feels like that. Like this is normally about enjoying it, but like she doesn't care. She's got what she wants, right? She's got some food. She's got her shopping. She got some money. She got her wine. She's dancing on her bed. She's showing she's living true to her. We don't have to be told all the time to enjoy a holiday, it's this and this and this. To enjoy your money, you have to do this, this and this. We're all individuals. Some of us don't want to go on holiday or go up a mountain or, sit on a beach. Some of us just want to stay home, go shopping, maybe not even go out, just get it ordered. Uber Eats and shopping online. And then we just, grab a wine and party by ourselves. And that's our excitement, right? We shouldn't be told or have to feel like that's not how we should spend our time and money. We should do it our own way. Okay, interesting. So let's have a look at these cards. So what do I see for you, pile number 2? I see quite clearly that you have, your own personal flavor and spice in life, right? The interesting thing, even though I was talking about you can stay home, for some of you, you can also go out, right? You can go and travel and do what sparks inspiration and fire in you. And I feel like your shadow, because this is a message for your shadow, but it's also like a message for you. So it's saying your shadow is there to remind you of all that you can do, all the possibilities, all the new exploration that you can do. If you need the space to think about and take the time, you have your own mind to guide you through that. Whether that's intuition, whether that's logical thinking, no one in spirituality or anything like that should tell you how you should think and feel. Obviously, you take the messages that resonate with you, with the herald. You take the people that give you the information that really sings to you or speaks to you, sorry. Maybe sings to you, I don't know. That just came through. But focus on what is your truth. There's always the truth of a matter, but there is your what you take and what you feel is the truth for you. And I feel like that's important, because understanding what is true to you and also what is the facts of the situation is important to know. I'm not saying you should take one over the other. I mean, if there's facts of information, it's very clear. You should acknowledge that, but you should also acknowledge how you feel about that. It's not really it's not just ignoring the real facts, but it's more like taking consideration to why do you feel like this in a particular situation? Why does someone else saying something trigger this thought? Are they the ones that are blind? Are you the one that's blind to a particular situation? It's really understanding that shadow, because that's how you can shine your uniqueness, your creativity, and get what you want to bring in, because this is like manifestation in a way. And also this one here is like not ignoring, celebrating that, or spending that blessing, or enjoying that fruit, what is it? Abundance, let's say. Nope, this one. And then here we've got, yes, you have your own wisdom, but also there's some kind of healing. Maybe this is past, so this could be family that certain situations weren't always the best. Maybe there wasn't anything major, right? Sometimes it will be for some of you, and then some it will be just like small things, but sometimes small things can build up. Certain things that they say, or laugh at certain things where you're like, I want to do this, and they'll laugh or something, and they're like, haha, good one kind of thing. And that might not seem like a big deal, but that can also weigh down on your confidence, right? Self-worth sometimes. But I feel like movement and getting that invigoration gives you back your energy to start exploring and going forward with, like, it honestly feels like your adventure, so your life journey. However that looks, this could be internal, the adventure could be internal, it could be external. The long distance travel could literally feel like a deep dive into your heart space, into your whatever calls to you, honestly. It's definitely up to you, because it does feel like you already have gone through what you've gone through, and it's created who you are today. And that's something to celebrate, I feel. The shadow's there to remind you that sometimes you can get caught up in the shadow and be like, oh yeah, I'm too different, or I'm too this or that, or whatever. But that's your superpower, it feels. It's like the nurture here is like nurture that individuality. Take consideration of all aspects and uncover what the real truth is. Because sometimes it's not exactly what's at face value for you and also from others. It's really giving you that time to think about it, I feel, with this rest. What is overwhelming you? What's getting what's taking a lot of your your mind space? What's taking a lot of space up? I don't know what it is, but when I was saying singing, I feel like music is important. I don't know if that means you just need to listen to music, like as simply as that, or play or sing. I'm not sure, but music seems important to get like a message out. This is probably just for some, but music for everyone, right? It's the vibrations are what we kind of are as well. We vibrate. I mean, we're water and molecules and things like that, but the sound waves have like calming effects on us, or spark inspiration, or depending on what kind of music you're into or listen to, it can be invigorating. It can also help us chill out. It can help us feel our feelings. I feel like this is something that's important to you for whatever reason. It's just coming through like that. But with the Gabriel wearing many hats, I feel like you can also do this. You can be, a beautician, a scientist, whatever. Why limit yourself when you can do many things, and that's okay. You don't have to just specialize in one thing. And for some people, you can specialize in one thing. It's okay to specialize. Like, it's really what's true to you is important. I know this is a shadow. This is a message for your shadow. And I feel like the message for your shadow is come through in a way that reminds yourself, or your person, your human, that you have the space and time to think about what's really going to be the most exciting thing on your journey. You've got the wisdom. You've gained knowledge over your years. You've got many inputs from maybe higher up, but what's the real truth? What's under that mask? What's the real facts and figures that calls to you? What's true to you? What's your truth? What gives you power? Take the time and think about it. It's really where this is coming from. But I just feel like you don't have to be part of the flock, let's say, with these birds. You don't have to be part of this. You can go your own way, your own path, and sometimes getting out of a particular place or situation, whether that's work, relationship, family, friends, whatever. Even a new country can be like a breath of fresh air, right? But if you haven't dealt with the stuff internally, then you just take all that baggage, all that light, shadow, everything. You take your whole self to that new place. It doesn't just fix it for you. It has to be really looked into and understood and considered and thought about, so that you can regain your power back, your manifestation, and start creating what's going to bring you happiness and fulfillment in your life. And that's exactly what I see for you today, pile number 2. So thank you very much for being here. if you've enjoyed, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss any content. Otherwise, I'm going to leave that here. I also have an Etsy if you want to check that out. It's in the description. But take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next one. Hello, part number 3. So today, your shadow. You've chosen Chesed, which is the right hand of empathy. And empathy, sorry. Really interesting, because these arms are holding on to a lot. There's a lot. And if you're an empath, that's just what's coming up straight away. Sometimes you do pick up on a lot. So I don't know if this is going to be part of the reading, but it does feel like regardless, this is just going to be a message, especially here, like be gentle and kind to yourself. Make sure you are grounding that energy out or down into the earth, or, you know, sending it back to the people, not as like a negative thing, but, you know, sometimes people need to work through their own stuff, their own shadows that can't be just fixed for them. If you are trying to do that. But sometimes we just pick it up, right? We pick up people's energy as well. When we don't mean to, it's just happens. Okay. So I'll get into the reading. Oh, can't pick it up. Alright, let's take a look at your cards today. So it says here, your soul has fucked off, and you've got retrieve it. Right. Doesn't mean necessarily your soul has left, but it's just like, be true to your soul. Reclaim that and understand what is happening in your present situation. You also have explore your ancestry. This is interesting. We'll have a look at that one too. When I say that, I mean I'm going to have a look at the book. Lady Nada coming out, not surprised. I did see this card at the bottom of the deck when I picked them up and shuffled them, and it was kind of calling out. And I was like, well, we'll see if you pop up. But we got Lady Nada with Divine Service, Highest Heart, and Light Work. Really interesting talking about light work when we talk about shadow work. But they do come hand in hand. We can't see, you know, the right path or the light path without shadows. If everything's light, we can only see light, right? There has to be a balance, and there is a balance because we're humans. You also have the Flower of Life with Inspiration, Awe, and Dreams. Really nice. And you have Gateway. This is a very spiritual message. It's just going through very spiritually. The shadow is here to show you something. I'll have a look at all the cards first. I'm trying to. Okay, so you have the Ten of Pentacles. You have the Ace of Cups. I'm just going to move these down here actually, because there's a bit of light and these cards reflect it. You have the Five of Cups. This is really interesting with this. It's almost like getting what you thought you wanted with this Pentacles. It's like, or, you know, getting that job, but you're still in the rat race of life. Something like that. I will have a look. And you've also got the Knight of Pentacles. Knight of Pentacles is interesting because while it can be stubbornness, it's also about planning. Like you can utilize this energy to, you know, be strict and make a plan, right? And then start moving forwards towards that plan. This one's interesting though. It looks like they're ordering something. Oh no, they're not. They're meeting someone. Good news. I have good news. So it's like a message as well, like an alert or a text or, you know, a message. So I'm just checking the book here. So this is for you, part number 3. The first one here is saying, why do I want to escape and what healing needs to be done? Really interesting with explore your ancestry. Also, is it time for some meditation or just some time out for me? And how can I be more true to my own true soul? Really interesting when we're talking about your soul leaving, right? Retrieving it. It's not actually like your soul has ditched you. but there's some part of you that, I guess, a part of your soul that wants to be shined, and your shadows are kind of there to remind you to push that forward, that idea forward. And for whatever reason, this feels like portal or some kind of gateway into the past, but also some kind of healing, because it's like magical, right? This unicorn, it's magical healing, so that's why it feels like spiritual kind of healing. I'm not saying you have to go do Reiki or anything like that, but meditating, if that's how you connect with yourself, by being mindful and peaceful, then just understanding that it's even like maybe go on YouTube and just watch some of the guided meditations to understand a situation, or understand who you are, or understand what your soul is kind of asking you. Because the flower of life is like everything is created from this. That's the symbology of it. And here it's talking about all dreams and inspiration. Like, what gives you that spark? It's really understanding your soul's true heart, like the heart of your soul, if that makes sense. Especially with Lady Nada coming through with the highest heart, like there's something there to be explored, let's say. And being kind to yourself, because I feel like you or maybe your higher self is holding on to something, like that can translate down to earth as you hold on to a particular person's situation that's no longer working for you, or like the connection doesn't work or something like that, and it translates up there too into your higher self holding on to something. I feel like that's a message there too. Okay, so I'm just going to read part of this card because I feel like it really ties in with this left hand Chesed. So it says, your personality is essentially a mixture of your karmic tendencies and certain characteristics you have inherited from your family. While some of these inherited characteristics are extremely helpful and allow you to expand on your talents and abilities you have brought with you, others are more suppressed aspects could be holding you back from becoming all that you desire, destined to be, or you're desired to be as well. This card asks you to examine how the shadowy, unrefined aspects of your parents' behaviors have crept into your life and are limiting your growth and maturity. Some of these behaviors could include being pushy, harsh, opinionated, controlling, manipulative, domineering, wanting things your own way, constantly sweating the small stuff, self-sabotage, selfishness, playing the victim, using guilt as a way to punish, etc. To recognize these behaviors in yourself could seem a little confrontational, especially if you have spent your life trying to be as different from your parents as possible. Yet it's only through confronting your limitations that you can evolve or delete it into someone who lives their life consciously and autonomously. So a really interesting message coming through here. It's really like, what are you holding on to? What was it that occurred? If it is in regards to family, what was it that occurred? How did it make you feel? That kind of thing. It's hard sometimes to go through this, and if it's too hard, trust your intuition and go with that, because your intuition will tell you what is important and what is not. But it does feel like it's holding you back from your plans, or what you feel you deserve, or what you want to explore in like an emotional way. You don't have to forgive and talk to them or anything like that. It's just about releasing. It's like, I let go of this with love. So it's like forgiving self almost. And your shadow will constantly remind you of this, not to really put you in a bad state. It's to just remind you that this is something that needs to be looked into or understood. Like, why is this? Why is that? What is happening? What needs healing, right, with this soul card? The reason why I thought of this being like a spiritual reading, doesn't have to be, of course, but I feel like this is a part of it because it's blocking your spiritual growth, or not really blocking, let's say. It's just an obstacle that needs to be carefully examined, looked at, and worked through. Sometimes it can be as easy or as hard as letting go of something. Sometimes it's actually really digging in to understand it and then working through that. But divine service, I feel like there are guides, there are your guides, right? Your guides are there to assist, but also if you work with deities or archangels or anything like that. Archangel Ezekiel came through when I was shuffling for this reading today as well. So that might be someone you want to look into, or, just, focus on whatever is really calling to you, because the Ten of Pentacles as well does touch on family. Like, these bees are all part of a group, but the traditional card kind of touches on financial security and family heritage lines, like lineage, that kind of thing. And then we've got explore your ancestry. So it's kind of like really understanding what the triggers are. If there are triggers, that's from your shadow to remind, like, give you a hint of what it's about, right? The shadows aren't necessarily there to hold you back and keep you stuck. They're there to remind you of what you've been through and who you are and how you've changed. And it's interesting here talking about the family. Like, sometimes we try to be the complete opposite, and we provide something different or do something different for our current family because we're trying not to be here. But we end up going too far to, let's say, the right or whatever. It's not politics or anything like that, just like too far over here. So we end up, there's like missing the balance. Like, pulling this into the balance and understanding that there and being in the middle is better than being complete opposites, because there's always like positive, negative traits of each side, right? And if we're in the middle, it's not really the middle. It's more like balance of like trying to ensure that we're installing the best things and bringing out the best things of ourselves, so that our family, friends, whoever's around us in our present moment, they feel empowered to bring out what's true to them. This one really is feeling like a food for thought for you, pile 3. It's really understanding this shadow aspect, I guess, of yourself. Don't have to do necessarily shadow work. It's more like an understanding of when things pop up and you can feel yourself shifting into like a shadowy version of yourself. That's like a trigger to be like, oh, hang on, what is this about? Why is this popping up? Who is this? Is this something from my past? Understanding that will help you move through it more smoothly, I feel. But just remember, this is all about growth and your heart space and your growth, either personally, spiritually, whatever, emotionally, everything. It's about growth. And it's all going to be individual for everyone watching, right? But it's really about focusing on the magic, the good things, the practical, but also the emotional aspects of life and what you want to explore in the future. And these shadows, let's say, are coming through to just remind you that there's certain things to look at and understand so that you can move through life much smoother. I feel like for whatever reason, make sure you protect yourself. The Flower of Life is just showing me like protection as well, because sometimes digging into the past can open up new wounds, shadows as well, other things. So just make sure you are protecting yourself and you're doing it in a space and time that you don't feel down or disappointed or you're in a particular way, unhappy way. You're best to do it when you're feeling, ready to do it. You're prepared. You're in a good headspace, heart space, health space, whatever. It's something I feel is definitely needing to release and let go from your end and also from your higher self's kind of end, or your like higher being's end, let's say. Because this, even though it's talking about your soul, this does feel like your higher self almost. It's like, I want to release something, but you're not releasing it. And then it could be vice versa as well. It's like you want to release something, but your higher self is kind of holding on to something. It's that kind of push and pull. So maybe you feel that conflict within. Okay, and that's exactly what I see for you today, pile number 3. So thank you very much for being here. If you've enjoyed, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss any content. I do now have an Etsy, so feel free to check that out in the description. Otherwise, take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next reading. Hello, part number 4. So today you have chosen Keter, which is the crown chakra, or sorry, not crown chakra, the crown of the tree of life, so the top, and spirituality. So really interesting. This is going to be an interesting read, especially when talking about a message to your shadow or about your shadow, right? And you have chosen this one with the pearl, the blue swan. So we'll see how this comes through. It's interesting because we're talking about shadows, and here it's like there's some kind of faithfulness, and we've got the light attribute, and then we've got this big shadowy ball right at the top of your crown. So we'll see what that's about. Okay, let's check out your cards today. Yeah. Okay. So here we go. You got the black hole sucks. Black holes suck. Don't let darkness hold you back. Talking about shadows. Perfect. And the circle. Yeah, the circles are important. We'll see why. It's kind of like, look, just with this card, it's kind of like believing you're in the light. And sometimes you get so high on the like light work or light, being in the light, that you end up being in a shadow, right? It ends up becoming like you feel like you're in a hierarchy. I'm not saying you're doing this. I feel like sometimes that just can be a catalyst, or an understanding of that can humble you and bring you back to solid ground, let's say. You've got ennoble your soul. Interesting. This is so interesting because it's got angels, right? It's got your shadow, and it's got your angels got your light, and then it's got your shadow. It's kind of like if you're ignoring the shadow and masking it like everything's okay, then you're really not dealing with the shadow aspect. So this is really interesting, just coming through straight away. I'll have a look. I'll try to not read all the cards. You've got Sheila Gig with Gateway, Opening, and Legacy. Interesting. This one doesn't come up often. I hardly see this card. So you've got Syrian's A with Artistic, Integrity, and Honest. Yeah, it's about really being honest with yourself about your light and shadow aspects, because that's how we can move through. We all have light and shadow. We all get into certain ways, right, within ourselves that don't always feel like true to ourselves. So when we can understand what that is, what that trigger is, what that understanding is, that's how we can be real honest with ourselves. And you also have really nice the new beginnings. This is going to help. This is really going to help you get to the places you want to be, the exploration you want to the place you want to explore. You know what I mean? The inner, outer, whatever world. Doesn't have to be one or the other. Okay, so you have the Six of Cups, really nice. It does talk about reflection as well, and can look at like memories of the past. Understanding the past will help you with this shadow, whatever this is. It's not about destroying it either. You've got the Chariot, really interesting. This is a honey badger, I believe, or a wolverine maybe. It's one or the other. But then the Chariot is movement, but it's also really slow, right? It's slow, and this is a slow animal, but it's determined, and it's focused, and it's going to where it needs to go. Also, again, this play on the light and the dark. It's important to not just be up here, it's also down here. This is playing out a lot in your reading, even here, right? Because if you believe you're in the light for every single thing and everything's fine, it ends up growing the shadow, right? And the shadow starts absorbing some of the light, and that's what you don't want. Okay. You also have the Three of Cups. This is really interesting because Three of Cups is like celebration and fun, right? But these figures are just kind of like standing there, having their pink drink. And here is the Four of Cups. It's so interesting. This is really, I mean, this might even be triggering a little bit for some of you watching, I feel like, because it's kind of like, no, I'm in a good place. I'm fine. and that's why I've picked this card, because everything's good. But it's almost like that's stopping you from getting the assistance to, like, it's kind of like, I'm already good. I don't need anything else. I don't need assistance from you, because I'm where I am, and etc. etc. There's something there that can open up and bring in like a new beginning for you pile number 4. Here, this is important. It's really not about shadowing the shadow, like highlighting the shadow and ignoring the light. It's about understanding the shadow, and then bringing light to the shadow so you can understand, like expose it and understand what it means and why it's there. Because shadows are there to remind us of something, to trigger us so that we look at something, explore something, understand a part of ourself that needs to be brought to the forefront. So I'm going to read this exactly as it is in the book. The main message of here is it's time for you to embrace a higher level of responsibility for your actions. At different moments in your life, you may feel lost and desire help from higher angelic beings. Yet have you ever thought about the possibility that we are all on a journey of evolution, and that how you behave, treat others, think and feel impacts whether these higher beings have the possibility to evolve or be thwarted? For instance, you have a guardian angel. This angel respects your free will and can only help you if you are open and receptive to this help. This angel is with you in every incarnation, holding the threads of your karma, and has to go through all your ups and downs with you. You are being asked to bring your attention towards ennobling your soul by focusing on creating more loving relationships with those around you, becoming more kind and selfless, communicating with your angel on a daily basis, and asking how you can be of service to others rather than how you can get more for yourself. It's time for you to receive higher wisdom and act in an honorable way to everyone who is around you, no matter how they are behaving. It's really interesting because it feels like taking the high ground, right? Taking the high ground in a situation. We are talking about shadows, so I do feel like this can be in regards to like spirituality, right? Of course, because we all have shadows in every aspect of our life, light and shadows, of course. But there's something here that's holding you back. And it's funny because I was talking about this. It's like the people that are around you, they might be some of the ones that are trying to reach out and assist you in some way, but also the higher beings here with this 4 of Cups. It feels like that's, offering assistance. Signs are coming through, and it's like, I'm already at a good level that I'm fine with. And I feel like if you are, that's fine. But if it's like in your ego, then you got to be careful of that, because especially with working light workers, people that work with light, it can lead to high ego sometimes, I feel like. And the shadow is there to remind us, to bring us back to earth in some cases, so we are more balanced and can see clearly. So here we've got the black hole sucks. So I just want to read the questions to ask yourself from this book. It says, who is sucking me into their darkness? What can I do to bring myself inner joy? Who can help me stop being sucked in? So even though I was kind of talking about, what you're doing and who and how you're kind of acting, let's say, it's not just about like, naughty kind of thing. It's not about that. It's really about understanding why these shadows, or why your shadow aspects come through to you. Because here it could be the people you interact with, like the people that should be like fun, right? And have enjoyment in life. But are there people that you hang around with that kind of hold you back in a way, and your shadow aspect comes out, the mask comes off, and you speak to them? Or like maybe the mask comes on and you kind of ignore it, or you don't ignore it. It depends on your situation. You might lash out. But are they there to remind you of something, or are they there to really hold you back? And understanding the shadow aspect of who you are will help you understand yourself better, and it might even improve and help your light aspects as well. I say might, but it really will. And also here we've got gateway and openings and new beginnings. It's like there's never a peak to your learnings and your development, especially spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, right? And physically, right? There's no peak and that's it. With people in, back in the day wouldn't have thought that people could break the 10-second mark, right, of the sprint in the Olympics, and that's been broken by, I believe, both male, female have broken that limit. So it's like there's always a new limit, and just because we feel like we've got to a certain place doesn't mean there's not more to explore. There's more to explore. There really is, like, opening up and really discovering new things that you might not have seen or were exposed to. I feel like there's a lot more. Also, there's honesty and integrity. I feel like if you're still here, because I don't know why, but I feel like some people might have dipped from the start of this because it felt like an attack, and it really isn't. It's just how the message wanted to come through first, and I feel like now it's the other aspect of people that we're kind of touching on, as well as still the same people. But if you're doing it from like an honesty, integrity place yourself, but also the people that you're hanging around with, and even the memories that you have, that'll help you to move forward. Like the memories, like were the memories that you think about with regards to family, old friends, school, old jobs, bosses. Sometimes they can be kind of, not great, let's say. But is it the truth of the matter? Is that the real story? Because if you can't be honest with others, at least be honest with yourself. What really happened? How were you really feeling? I feel it's important because that'll help polish this. I feel like your soul in some ways, and really help you understand this shadow, the shadow that's coming through for you, pile number 4. I feel like there's something I need to draw cards for. I'm just going to pull some cards. I feel like there's just a little bit extra to dig into for you, pile number 4. I'm not too sure, so I'm just going to ask the cards, what additional information does pile number 4 need to hear? Okay. I feel like just 2 more. I'm going to take this one. Okay, so like I said, this is just additional information for you, pile number 4. So you have the 2 of Swords. You also have the Page of Wands. And you have the 10 of Swords. This is so interesting. Just because it's like decision, right? The choices we make, the swords are like our mind. The interesting thing here is like the Page of Wands is like that spark of inspiration to get back to something that we enjoy, or that a project that we had on hold to get back into it, or inspiration to start something new. It's also interesting here with this little eye. It's kind of like you are getting messages. You are being you can see what this is about, but you can almost like beautify it, right? You can acknowledge it, not get sucked into the darkness, but just be like, you know what, I'm going to build like a pretty nest around it. I know it's there. I know it's there to remind me of who I am and what I've gone through and how I got to be where I am. But I'm not going to let it blind me. And this does feel like a release in some sense, because it's a really sad imagery, which may be why I was talking about past family, etc. But it's like this little baby bird's there because I believe it's like a cuckoo, or it could be a different bird, but they have the same kind of mannerisms or way that they breed or lay eggs. So what happens is these birds will lay eggs. They will, so this one will lay its own eggs, and then when it's out doing whatever it's doing bird stuff, a cuckoo or a bird like it will lay eggs in the nest. And then what will happen is they'll come back. For whatever reason, the bird doesn't realize that it's not their egg. And then once this one hatches, it generally hatches quicker because that's their evolutionary kind of way that they've evolved. And then this one looks after it. It's massive, right? It's huge, and the bird still doesn't realize. But because it's so big, it either pecks this one or pushes it out of the nest. And also it has like a way of, has these like feet. If you watch it on YouTube or something, it's really interesting. Kind of sad, but also life. Life has some wild insects and animals and stuff like that. But it'll push the eggs out. So it's kind of like, did you feel like that? Or was there something that occurred back then that triggers you in different ways that you didn't even realize this was the root cause of the issue? So if that does resonate, then take that. Obviously, this is just extra. I just thought I'd bring it through. But it's something that's clouding or stopping your inspiration. Also, they're both birds, and this is about, the frog's about transformation, right? So it changes from an aquatic animal to like a semi-aquatic inland amphibian. So really interesting, sad story, but part of the world we live in. So this does also feel like release. So you can start moving forward into not making sure you don't feel stuck, because this one, even though it's the Six of Cups about remembrance, it does feel like it can be a trap, like a light worker trap or something like that. Don't get stuck on trying to save everyone or purify everything, right? Can only do what you can do, and there's lots of hands out there to assist with everything. So make sure you're living your life as well. So we're here for more than just projects and work and expectations. But that's exactly what I see for you today, pile number 4. Really interesting one, probably chopped and changed all over the place, but there's just a lot here. But it's all about bringing you to a place where you feel like you can start doing something brand new and go there at a pace that feels correct and right to you, with your shadows and with your light together as one. Okay, so thank you very much for being here today, pile number 4. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and subscribe so you don't miss any content. I also have Etsy if you're interested in a private reading. Otherwise, take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next reading.